Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. Sorry, I haven't done any videos or any blogs in a while. I currently or recently transitioned from one high school to another, and I took a new job. I'm now the head football coach at Baker County High School in McClinney, Florida. And so the last couple of weeks for me, I've been transitioning from my last job previously to this job, and now that I'm all set and ready to go, I'm getting set up and ready to do some more videos. So today we're going to talk a little bit about quarterback counter. I had some people asking, some emails I got asking about quarterback counter, and I'm going to show you how we run our quarterback counter play, and then I'm going to give some different versions of the counter play, and then I'm going to take a look at some other options you might have with it as well. The last 2 or 3 years for us, the quarterback counter play has been a predetermined run play. We have not read the quarterback counter. We have combined it off of our jet sweep action to give us a misdirection play away from our jet sweep. So depending on how hard of a roll we were getting towards the jet sweep side, we would always have our QB counter as a play going away from the jet sweep, which gave us misdirection. One of the reasons that we kept it as a predetermined run for us and not part of our read game was 2 years ago I had a quarterback that was a 1,000-yard rusher, and he was one of my best players, and I wanted to make sure that I had things in there for him to carry the ball without the defense being able to take it away. And anytime you use versions of the read game, the defense can dictate who's got the football. So when you're an option football team, you have to understand that the defense is going to be able to possibly take away those options and dictate who they want to have the ball. So we put the quarterback counter in as a play away from the jet sweep that I knew my quarterback would have the ball in his hands because he was one of my best players. Okay, so basically what we did is it's a gap scheme for us. All right, so on the front side, all right, play side, we were just down inside gap. Okay, so we were just down inside B gap with the tackle up to the second level. All right, we were down inside gap with the guard. We were blocking back with the center. All right, A gap to B gap, or checking on that 3 technique, and I'll show you what we do if it's a 3 technique here. We block back with the center. All right, and then we would just step and hinge with the tackle and hinge that B gap to make sure that if he had to post and hold the 3 technique, he could do that. All right, if he had a 1 technique or an open B gap, he would check to make sure there's no run through first. So he would step down inside tight to the B gap to check, and then hinge to make the corner longer for the defensive end, because that player is going to be, all right, kind of unblocked. So you want to make that corner longer for that defensive end to run around. So you can't just down block or reach or try and scoop into the B gap. You have to actually hinge that, all right, so that you make sure you got B gap run through taken care of, but at the same time now you're going to make the corner longer for that defensive end. If there is a 3 technique and that 3 technique is a war daddy or a guy you just can't block, with the center on the back block of the 3, make sure that the tackle gets in a position where he can post and help. Just make sure that you don't cut that 3 with the center if you're going to post and help with the tackle. All right, we would take our guard on the strong side here, and we would pull him and try and kick out the 5 technique. All right, we would take our tailback, all right, who's usually a fullback type body that when we went up tempo, we would insert a fullback into a sniffer position, and we would use him as the pull and wrap player. All right, so traditional counter rules: front side down gap, all right, backside player pull and kick, backside player pull and wrap. We used, all right, GF, guard and fullback. We didn't use GT. All right, we used the GF. Felt like the fullback was a little bit more athletic than our tackles, and felt like we could get there and do a better job at the second level with the fullback. All right, and we left the tackle on to hinge the B gap. We always ran it off of our jet sweep action, so we brought the H full speed across for jet. All right, and then we would try and see if we could get these guys to cut off the middle. All right, and then normally we just had straight up stalk in the corner here. And again, it's a play that you're calling based off of the rotations that you're getting to motion. All right, so if you were getting somebody that rotated a safety down and kicked the linebackers over, you may lose a body to block, all right, that down safety coming on the motion. So you may want to stay with all of your jet sweep action going front side where you're going to get some numbers. All right, a lot of times for us, because the jet sweep was such a good play, all right, we would get a lot of rotation down into the jet sweep here and a spin back away, which left the defense short a player away from the jet sweep action. All right, so we felt like the counter or the QB counter off the jet sweep for us all right, was a very good football play because we got a lot of heavy, hard rotation because the jet was part of our base running game where we had jet sweep, we had jet power read, we had a lot of things going with jet action, and we had a very good jet player carrying the football. So we got a lot of strong, hard rotations to, all right, the jet side. So quarterback counter was always a very good play for us. All right, the next thing we would do, all right, is we would build it into our up-tempo stuff, and we would come back and run it out of 3x1, and we would follow all the same rules. All right, so we would get into 3x1 up-tempo for us, okay, and we would get into a 3x1 set and put the tailback up in that sniffer position, and we would get into a 3x1 set, and then depending on, you know, how defenses wanted to defend, all right, depending on how defenses wanted to defend, what we would do is we would come, all right, we would double or down gap here, down gap if there was a 3, all right, we would make sure that we doubled the 3 and we tried to move it to the backside. We block the center back here, all right, we take the offside guard and we pull and kick the 5. We would step hinge the B gap, we would take the sniffer and we would shuffle wrap him here, all right, and then this would be working away, so we try and cut off middle of the field. We had a body we felt like we can get on that, and a body we felt like we can get to that. We would run jet sweep here front side, and then we would come back with the quarterback counter, all right, back to the 2 receiver side. Now, one of the reasons I liked it out of 3x1 was it left me 2 receivers, all right, to the side of the counter, so we felt like we could possibly get in and slide in here to cut off the fold player. Whereas in 2x2, when I motioned the slot in 2x2, okay, what we did was when we motioned the slot, we left a single receiver side. So if they rolled down to the single receiver side, we were short a body. All right, to the 3x1 side, I felt like if I ran the counter back to the 3x1 side, all right, I felt like I could get a body to cut off that fold player there, all right, and still be able to, depending on, again, it's all dependent upon how they rotate the motion and what they're trying to do to motion. All right, but I felt like I had a fallback player or a guy that could get the fall-in, fold-in player blocked, all right, here, depending on how they bumped or kicked or what they did to motion. All right, and because, again, because the jet sweep and the power read was such a big part of our game going to this side, we always felt like we would get some hard rotations towards the jet sweep side and guys spinning out, so we always felt like we needed something to come back to that side of the defense when they overplayed the jet sweep motion and they rolled hard down to the jet sweep motion. Okay, so in our up-tempo game with 1 back, all right, basically this becomes 20 personnel because my quarterback was essentially a tailback and he was a runner. All right, so it's 10 personnel by diagram or by alignment, but it's really 20 because that's the fullback and essentially he becomes a runner, so he's like having, all right, a tailback in the eye, so we were kind of almost 20 personnel. And we would run GF counter, guard, fullback, counter, front side gap schemes, kick out, wrap off of the jet sweep action. Okay? And then another version that we had that was very good to us because, again, 2 years ago we geared it around, you know, who we thought was one of our best players, who was our quarterback. All right? We had some 3-back stuff where we would get into 3-back sets. All right? We had double sniffers. And then we had a set where we put a tailback off to the side of the quarterback. All right, so we had a double sniffer set here with the tailback to the side of the quarterback. And a lot of times when we saw this, we would see balanced 8-man fronts. All right, and you could really do it either way. You could possibly see a 7-man box with 2 safeties playing quarters, robber, trying to get down hard on the run. Or sometimes because you're balanced with sniffers to both sides, all right, sometimes what they would do is they would just give us standard 8-man fronts, all right, we would see some 8-man fronts here, and then depending on whether they were a 1-high team or a quarters team, maybe they would play quarters away from the tailback if they thought like most of the runs were going to go away from the tailback. All right, for simplicity's sake, I'll just draw it up as 1-high right now, okay, but what we did was to get an extra player to the perimeter. All right, what we did was we ran it out of a 3-back set and we followed all our base counter rules, so we were down inside gap. We were down gap here. We were blocking back A gap to B gap there. We were step hinging with the tackle. We were pulling the guard and kicking, all right? And then we were taking the backside sniffer and we were shuffle wrapping him, okay? We were flash faking the outside zone jet sweep to the tailback front side, and then we were coming back with quarterback counter. Now the great thing about the 3-back set was it gave us an extra body in here, almost like having a slot set. It gave us an extra body to arc and get to the perimeter, okay, versus any teams that were either 8-man front or a quarters team trying to roll down. All right, again, I think you could possibly see 7-man boxes with quarters coverage to where you could actually get real thick, all right, Will, Mike, Sam, okay, Will, Mike, Sam with a free safety, strong safety playing quarters, getting ready to hammer down on the run. And when we saw a front like this, all right, what we had to do is we had to pay real close attention to what that backside linebacker wanted to do and try and hold him on the flow of the outside zone, because they have 7 helmets in the box and I've only got my 5-0 lineman. All right, technically I've got 7 on paper, but the front side fullback is going to arc release for force. All right, so I'm trying to account for that 8 guy coming down, so somebody's going to be unblocked. And for us, we always tried to make it the backside linebacker off the jet action, because we felt like we could hold him with the flash fake outside zone. All right, we felt like we could hold him enough to the front side. And if he was a guy that started making plays coming back here, then we actually had to be able to run the outside zone, all right, or the power read or something to the perimeter to hold him on the front side. All right, but again, if you got a 7-man quarters front like that, this guy can handle the drop down safety coming here. All right, you're going down back gap there. You've got your wrapper to handle here. All right, and then on the backside, your only choices is either unchain the end by sifting up, all right, to that backside backer, and it's awfully tough to get there with that 3 technique, or you can hinge the B gap here, all right, hinge the B gap, and you won't get to that Sam, but you're hoping that you're holding him with enough action going front side. All right, there's enough action going front side that you're hoping you could hold that linebacker there. And again, that's if you got a 7-man box. And always understand, depending on the game plan or who you're playing, if they're giving you hard and heavy 7-man boxes that you can't handle, you have to have another answer. All right, and for us, that other answer was always putting a tailback behind a quarterback and now being able to run heavy downhill power blast types of runs where my 7 helmets could handle their 7 guys in the box. Okay, so you know, it's always a question of who has the marker last, and you could draw up looks to be successful. All right, but when talking about the quarterback counterplay, if that became an issue, all right, then maybe versus that 4-3, 7 in the box look, we don't want to run that play. We want to run it out of 1 back and get some numbers out of there. Okay, so remember, plays are only good against the looks you want them to be good against. If they have extra helmets that you can't block, you just don't run that play. You get into a different set to kind of remove some of those helmets to run that play. All right, now, I also wanted to show you, all right, you could, if you wanted to, off the jet sweep, you could run it as read game, and I'll give you what I think are the pluses and minuses. All right, if it's part of your offense, you could very easily, as part of your read game in here, all right, you could run it off your jet sweep action to hold linebackers. All right, if you wanted to hold linebackers on the flow of the counterplay, you could very easily run this as part of your jet sweep read action here. All right, and you know, and it can be done very easily. It's not difficult to do if you're a read team and if you build in these concepts with your quarterback. All right. All you would do now is you would just trade, basically, you'd kind of trade the counter assignments between the T, all right, your tailback and your tackle. And your tackle, you'd actually be running GT counter with your tackle becoming the pull and wrap guy, and then you would read the 5 technique, all right, on the backside. All right, so what you would do is, okay, what you would do here is you would go down inside gap, block back here. You would pull kick with the guard, and then you would skip pull wrap with the tackle. Okay, you would take the tail now because he doesn't have to be part of the counter. All right, and your tailback would essentially arc release past the 5 and be a blocker either for a blitz off the edge or a guy that can turn in to handle the overrun of the Mike because you're coming here with jet sweep. All right. Now in doing that, you are going to read the 5 technique. If the 5 technique widens, your quarterback's going to run Q counter the other way. If the 5 technique squeezes off of the inside action of the tackle or bends, now you're going to give the jet sweep. All right, and you've got the jet sweep going to a twin side with the tailback there. All right, so you've got it blocked any way you want to block it. All right, you've got enough helmets out there if you get the jet sweep look from the 5 technique bending or squeezing inside off of the inside action of the tackle. All right, the reason we got away from this, all right, 2 main reasons. Number 1, I wanted to dictate that my quarterback had the ball, and I didn't want to read the play because I felt like the defense could take my quarterback away. That was number 1. Number 2, because of some of the D linemen we played, all right, the read game on the front side had no effect on the trap kick-out block on the backside. Okay, so in other words, we were not affecting this end. This end was getting a straight down block inside, and if he was a good player that really bended hard, all right, we didn't affect him with the jet sweep away. So when we read the front side end, I always tried to keep front side runs like power off of this front side read because I felt like I could, if I was affecting the end with the scheme, then I wanted to run the ball at the side that I was affecting the read or conflict defender. When you ran the counter read, because it was counter away from jet, what happened was, even though you affected this guy by making him widen with the jet possibly, now when your Q came back for counter, you didn't affect the front side of the blocking scheme with the jet action. So I found in a read game, not only could people take away, all right, the quarterback if he was your stud player by overplaying, you know, the quarterback version of the counter game and letting you give the jet sweep. If your quarterback was the guy, they may say, hey, you squeeze off of these down blocks, let them give the jet because we don't want the quarterback with the ball. So the defense dictates to you who has the ball. All right? So when you're running a read game, just always keep in mind that the defense is going to tell you who has the football. Okay? Also, to me, within the read game, I didn't like the front side blocking scheme. I didn't feel like I affected it enough. So we went to true, all right, counter, which still doesn't affect the backside scheme. You still got to kick it and wrap it. So either way, you didn't solve that problem. But we went to front side, all right, jet sweep with front side power that I felt like was a better version for us on the front side affecting the defensive end. Okay? So either way on this backside, you're not going to, your jet action away doesn't affect how this defensive end plays. So a real good one is going to bend and give you fits. 2 years ago, I had a guard that went to Kentucky, so we were able to handle most of the benders coming back, and we could still kick him out. All right, because he was 290 and he was a real good run blocker, so we still were able to handle that. All right, but that's a little bit of an issue with the counter play when you get a team that really likes to bend, all right, off of down blocks. You got to have a good guard that can kick that out. If not, you got to log it, and then you got to wrap around the log, and then you got to bounce it one gap wider, and then the defense is able to chase it down. Okay, but that was just some versions of us in our QB counter game. I wanted to draw the read play up for you just so you would have it. If you wanted to read the counter with the jet sweep or with the tailback outside zone, it's possible to do that. All right, but at the same time, I wanted to have something that you guys could see was part of the read game and then something that was also not part of the read game. We ran it out of 1 back, 2 back with jet motion. We ran it, 1 back with jet motion, 2 back with a tailback fake. All right, and we ran it out of 3 back with a tailback fake. But for us, the last 2 or 3 years, quarterback counter was always predetermined with a fake. There was no read involved. If you want to read it, hopefully that helps you a little bit with the scheme. All right, I appreciate you guys checking us out. I'll be back sometime next week with another one. Always remember, you don't play well until you play fast.